Welcome, friends. It's a new moon. It's dark moon. This is the darkest moon of the whole year. I'm going to explain it, what I mean by that. While we're recording this live, when we are recording this live, we're in the absolute darkest moment before the new moon is exact. The new moon is exact, that starts the Amavasya. And from that moment, the moon starts gaining light. Right? So we're in the absolute darkest tithi, or measurement of the moon's time, the moon rhythm, before the darkest moon of the year. Does that mean a veil descends and devilish characters emerge? And no, that's every day. I mean, what have you been living under a rock? Satan's having his day. So no, it's on one level, in one dimension. This is about our relationship with our star and the life-giving light that our star emits. This is the junction. I mean, today is October 20th, October 31st, on that solar cycle count. That is the portal, the last harvest festival of the autumn season, and the beginning of winter. Beginning of winter, it's climate change in my place. It's still, 17, 18 Celsius, still comfortable, 70 degrees during the day, Doesn't seem to be, icy or cold or anything like that. This is about light. The light is waning, the sunlight. So when we cross this juncture of Samhain in the Celtic calendar, the 31st of October, it's even less light. Now we're going in. It's the yin time of year. It's the time for rest. And there is such important work. I'll call it work for now. There's such important processing, synergizing, digesting, making sense of through liminal rest, dream, kind of shamanic-y, between worlds type practice. Basically, we fuck this rhythm up every year. We're out here doing football, tailgate, gladiator sport, lead up, commercialism, holiday, family hubbub. It's fun, it's not fun, it's terrible, it's amazing, commodification, materialism, gross excess of food, huge indulgence. And then all of that takes up the space. When really, like this moon right now, we're crossing a threshold into this really magical but deep on the inside yin, like the bones and then inside the bones kind of vibe. We've had 3 harvest festivals. We had the midpoint between summer solstice and fall equinox, right? We had the fall equinox, the second harvest festival. And then we have the 3rd harvest festival coming up in Samhain, like this. We've harvested everything. We've packed it away. We've celebrated. We've enjoyed all the hard work, all of the things. And so this should be our natural rhythm, along with the seasonal agricultural rhythms that our ancestors were we're resting into for a long, 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 long time. You know, what's the big giant disruptor? Industrialization. So it's just a couple hundred years that we've been wildly off rhythm. And we could probably tack on another 200 or 300 years before that we already started heading in that direction. We can't say everybody on the earth, but we can definitely say connections to Western European culture. Yes. So we're at the dark point of the dark moon. What makes this moon so dark? Right? Isn't every new moon dark? Yes. Yes. And what makes a new moon a new moon? Right? It's when the sun and the moon are in the same place, in the same degree. That is the moment. The sun moves at a different pace in the zodiac in the sky than the moon. The moon is very fast moving. 2 days, zoom, through a zodiac. The sun, 1 month. And that's how we get our calendar. 12 months times, times 1, the sun. So a new moon is when the sun and the moon are in the exact same place. Counter to that, a full moon is when we're looking on that circular zodiac and the sun and the moon are in opposite places. The sun has entered the sign of Sidereal Libra, which is its point of debilitation. It's its sign of debilitation. There will be some exact degrees where it's like wretchedly debilitated. I forget what those are. Reference. So, well, then why does that make the moon so dark? Well, in that zodiac, the sun is the natural first house of 12. And so wherever the sun is gazing across to, which would be house number 7, that place is shadow in relationship to the sun. So who's across from sun in first house? 7th house, Libra. It does. So now, in the zodiac, Libra will be the sign of the sun's debilitation. And this rule goes for any system of astrology, tropical or sidereal. So if the sun is dark and the moon is with the sun at the point of the moon is also darkened. Because remember, the moon does not have a source of light of its own. The moonlight that we enjoy so much is reflected light of the sun. So the sun is dark, the moon's dark. Like this. So sun is debilitated, which means the sun and the things that the sun represents are not energized at this time. And that will be for 1 whole month. The sun went in, I think, on the 16th. So just a couple days ago. And over there, sun keyword leadership. Also, health, vitality. Image. So we could see very insecure leadership. Ugh. Like we need more of that. But see, the leadership that is deeply insecure, but isn't acting like it, under the influence of Libra, could now feel their insecurity, which means they might do increasingly stupid things. When we want to evaluate a moon, a new moon, a full moon, we want to see like, okay, who else is at the party? Yeah. So we're looking at that circular zodiac and we're drawing shapes. Sometimes there's crosses. Sometimes there's square. There's always trines. Trines is like the magical activation. Square is also activation. Straight across is also activation. Trines are always at work. Just in case you want to know, I'm eating these big, giant, juicy grapes. I can't get enough of them. These purple grapes. So who else is in the mix? because that's going to give us colors to this moon. So we already know sun is not happy. Moon is also dark. What is moon? Mind. So we might be like going into grungier places. Shadow might feel like it's more at the surface than like a few layers in. Patterns, long held patterns, things that we are often like keep away in the cabinetry, in the cupboards, and then busy ourselves with distractions or addictions or self-medicating, for me, workaholism. Damn, workaholic. So I can be busy distracting myself. But this time of year, the cupboard doors flew open. You don't have that same kind of control over suppression because the shadow, the dark, the yin, it's its time of year, it's its season, it's what's getting activated. Even our sun, when it passes, when it goes into Scorpio, because like it's going to get dark, but this is going to get really dark. Think sunlight, less and less sunlight, right? So it's going to get dark and then it's going to get really dark. Sun is going to, transit through Scorpio next. And there's a nakshatra, a lunar mansion in Scorpio called Mula. And that's the root. And there'll be a day where the sun aligns with the center of the Milky Way. And what happens in that deep, deep, deep depth? Our star recharges. So it's the same thing for us. This is the time of year that we are supposed to recharge. Except we have the dumbass social construct. And so this is your moon. It's your new moon. Right? This is literally your moon to be like, how am I going to do this winter? Like literally, what is it that I want to tune into? How do I want to align differently? What could I be doing differently that I stop like skipping over this really special experience? Like, I'm not talking about this commodified like shadow work, I'm not talking about this peak experience, commodified spirituality, pseudo psychologyism. Like, this is my year, I got to get into the shadow work and whatever. This is like, this first and foremost, healing principles. This is the time of year where you will fill the rest battery for think that zodiac, remember? What's across from winter? Summer. You build the yin through winter. And that carries you through the yang season of summer because our sun is both life-giving and life-taking. It is also, the sun's energy gives life, plant life, oxygen, all the things that we need for the life force energy to go into our bodies through our foods and things. And the sun also burns our cells, dries us out like this, taxes our life force energy. Literally can pull the life force energy right out of the crown center. That's why so many spiritual traditions, they have hats and head coverings. That's the yogic level interpretation of all of that. So the sun is life-giving and life-taking at the same time. Something to think about. So if you don't anchor in winter season, then you lose the game. So then what happens is year after year, We come up with our deficiency patterns that gains traction, and then eventually that will form up symptomatically into some sort of dis-ease, some maladaptive presentation like this. So most of the population is just wildly clueless to anything that I'm talking about right now, and they're not going to get a clue. It's not in their cards to have a clue. I don't know. I'm talking to a smaller population of the people, who are, something inside of you is calling you to, frankly speaking, is a spiritual journey. And the spiritual journey can be communicated through our health, vitality, and well-being. It's not going to be the fucking Instagram commodified version of that. But literally, your health and wellness practices are the foundation of your spiritual cultivation. So, there's not separate by any means. So when you attend to your health, when you uncover healing, when you connect to the ancestors, we're going to name that too, get into that, because we're still in ancestor season. We're at the heart of the ancestor portal. We'll get to that. When you are attending to your health, when you are making right in your body and harmonizing with your food, your exercise, your sleep, your hydration, all these things, that is a spiritual practice. It is devotional. It is genuine to the divinity that lives within, if we wanted to get all theological and conceptual somehow. Absolutely. When you respect this body, this gift, that is 1,000% spiritual practice. Now, if you're on some Chad, chiseled, I'm just gonna keep solidifying my ego structure, I'm gonna build identity, self-identity, things like this. I'm missing the point a bit. There's a whole population of that as well. But you never know. You never know when the light bulb can turn on, when it can click over for someone, when they can make the connection. You never know. I'll take ignorance but active over ignorance and inactive any day. At least there's something we could galvanize with. There's a little bit of currency, there's an in. But wow, totally checked out. I don't know. This social construct we live in, this social construct we live under, has pacified humans to such an extent. Sometimes I wonder, how do we help the masses? I'll tell you, I still don't know. I can just kind of work with what I got in front of me, and then also figure out my own journey. Now, I don't know how we move this ship how it is now. It does seem a little crazy. It might be that it's just not meant for everyone. I don't know. Kind of full circle on that thought bubble. So this moon, who's partying with the moon? 2 luminaries are in Libra also. Mars and Mercury. Mars, planet of action. Mercury, planet of intellect. But they're not friends. They're 2 different approaches. They're not trying to party together. They're nah, we're not actually friends. So when they come in close contact with each other, they have something in Jyotish that we call a Graha Yuddha, a planetary war. And then it's who's going to win the war? Mercury never wins. No matter if Mercury has a planetary war, then if Mercury doesn't win. Mercury's too changeable and adaptable. Mercury's I'll fight with you, but then I kind of also want to become you for a second. Mercury gets distracted in the planetary war, and Mars is just way too organized. Did somebody say war? Finally. So that's not going to happen. They're both like fine in Libra. Libra is not the problem. Libra is a problem for the sun. Okay, but now you got weak sun, sad moon, you know, Mercury and Mars fighting. Mercury and Mars, when they come together, it can make volatility, seismic activity, earthquakes, accidents, particularly with like fire, electricity, and also knives. So while these two are doing their thing, we have to be easeful, aware, calm, like this. So many accidents can be avoided with awareness. We slow down. Particularly when Mars-Mercury conjunction comes up and we're talking about rage mode, while you are inside vehicles, no rage mode while you're driving. If you feel like you're gonna get ragey and that feels out of control kind of vibe, you pull over. Okay, I'm not gonna judge you for getting in rage mode. Sometimes you're just there. You know, maybe you're in the lead up to your bleed. Who knows? That's just a personal. Like if I was gonna rage mode, it would be during that time, like way less control, just where things are going. That's not like a rude sexist statement. I'm like literally referencing my own experience. It's just fact. So, we don't engage, okay? The sun's not happy and Mars isn't happy. That's two malefics. That's two potentially fighty planets as well. So, you know, what's Libra? Diplomacy. Yeah, we know balance, but sometimes that's not descriptive enough. Also, partnership. Partnership of all sorts, but especially like spousal kind of partnership. Okay, so sun's in there, and Mercury's in there, and Mars is in there, and Mercury and Mars are fighting, and sun is debilitated, moon's not happy. Fights come up. This is when you like take just a giant step back. Nothing's gonna get resolved. It's a fighty time. And it could just get out of control. And you would look back after and be like, that wasn't my intention. I don't know how it got that big. I don't know what came over me. Yeah, shit like that. You know, so hey, knowing is half the battle, G.I. Joe. You're gonna ease it back. Right? You're not gonna go there because you listened to the moon circle and now you have the heads up. You're gonna remember, little Pacquiao, gotta come out and be like, damn, friend, remember? I done told you. You know, so self-awareness. Like this is one of the things that astrology can help us with, right? We can't avoid the sticky situations. We cannot avoid that this is our annual time of the year to turn inwards, to do the yin work. That's really what it is, yin work. Yin cultivation, yin development, yin resourcing. You can't escape that. You can't escape karma. But you can know about something ahead of time. Like checking the weather before hiking in the slot canyon. You know, you can check ahead of time and make a different set of choices or practice restraint. Restraint is an invaluable tool that has to be cultivated. You cannot expect to be able to exercise restraint if you have not cultivated restraint. You need to know how restraint looks for you. Right? So we don't want to be impulsive, Mars, you know, insecure, debilitated Saturn. In our relationships, Libra. Partnerships, Libra. Diplomatic situations that require diplomacy. We're not going to have the same resources for the next month because of Sun. So what we could be doing, what could actually be very exciting, is what's supported. That's the deep spiritual work, both annually speaking and also in the unique combination of what's being presented. Oh, my stuff's gonna get stirred. It's gonna get activated, which means I'll be able to see it better. I might even be able to apply those tools, separate myself from the object of self that I'm observing, and see if I can find its roots. Just like the trees are dropping the leaves, they're not putting their energy into the branches and the leaves. Now they take the energy and they pull it into the trunk. And then they root. They're always rooted downwards, but the energy moves into the roots, like its life force moves into the roots, where it's met by the mycelial network, the netherworld cosmos. And then all the friends in the cosmos work as a collective to stay nutrified. And then they send the nutrients like heavily through the trunk and then just enough through the branches to keep the branches alive. That's why sometimes in like extreme cold situations, freeze, deep freeze, Arctic blast kind of things, branches can die of trees. Not the trunk, not the roots. We need, the invitation is to do the same thing. So we draw into the deep, 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 deep. The things that are arising, we're able to see them better. And then just like the tree, we go into the roots and we rest in the mycelia. We rest in the earthen cosmos. And what we find there is an express elevator. It's basically a portal. Like you go down and then you discover that you're actually in the reflective cosmos. You are in the Akash, you are in the ether cosmos. Yes, and from there you can play between the two. It's very fun. What a fun winter. Right? In the cave with the snakes slithering and the low tone chanting. Yes, the dream temple. Exactly. That's the call-in. That's the seasonal call-in. That's a call of this moon. And also outer planet Pluto is in the mix. We got direct conjunction with Pluto. Also Saturn, Neptune, who are in Pisces. So Pluto is in sidereal Capricorn. Saturn and Neptune are both retrograde in sidereal Pisces. And if you recall, the last several moon circles we've had, it's almost like 2 months ongoing, that these outer planets are heavily in the mix at every moon junction. When we look to the outer planets, we're looking at the collective sphere. Yeah, also personal. It'll show up in your own natal chart and how that influences. But when we want to understand that change that's happening in the masses, change in the collective consciousness, or what's being activated in the collective consciousness, we look to the outer planets, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn. Also Jupiter, because Jupiter is a slow-moving planet. Jupiter spends 1 year in a sign. I don't think I want to launch on Jupiter right now, but Jupiter is doing some very exciting things. Actually, we should talk about Jupiter. What am I saying? Look to the benefics. Right? Jupiter is doing some crazy influence with the collective right now. So starting with this transit where Jupiter is right now, which is sidereal, Gemini. Okay, so when I'm naming these zodiacs, right, these signs, That's when you need to look at your birth chart and see which house is it falling in? What are the themes of that house? And that gives you a lot of insight of what's getting activated. Oh yeah, there's deeper layers to go into. It gets so ornate and everything, but that alone is something to clue you in, so now I'm saying Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter, benefic planet, philosophy, spirituality, dharma. The planet's name is Guru. He's the teacher, priestly kind of character. So he's been in sidereal Gemini. Not like Jupiter's favorite place, but it's active. But where Jupiter is moving into for just a little taste is his favorite place, and that's Cancer, sidereal Cancer. So Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, and we're gonna get incredible benefic influences, expansive blessings of Jupiter. And that is coming up like right now. Yeah, that just happened. That happened a couple of days ago. Let me double check. Sometimes I care. Jupiter into Cancer. Yeah, the 18th. That's right. It's the 20th. So there's already been this flavor change. The thing about Jupiter right now, and Jupiter just came into, started the transit in Gemini in May. Jupiter started an 8-year cycle where its movement is extremely fast through all of the signs. Usually spends a year in a sign, but it's going to be like moving very fast and does retrograde and then very fast and then does retrograde. So this will be interesting. This is the first, now it's zoomed through Gemini, came into Cancer. We'll get a little taste, then it's going to retrograde back into sidereal Gemini. So it's the first of this fast moving Jupiter flavor that we're going to get of changing signs. When Jupiter changes signs, it's a big deal. It has a big benefic influence, and also for the masses. It does. So we just had a lot of things shift. Jupiter into Cancer is a very helpful one. And Sun into Libra, not as much. And we know we have our Mars tight conjunction. That's the 18th to the 21st of October. So this is this critical time. We're here at our dark moon. And there's one more layer that I want to explain for you. Well, I said Pluto. So deep transformation, we can just kind of summarize Pluto's influence in deep transformation. So Libra is ruled by Venus. So when we want to also then kind of one more layer of like, well, how happy is Libra right now? Like how juiced is that place, that body. So not so good because Libra's ruler Venus is in Virgo, and that is its sign of debilitation. So are you noticing this kind of like things are a little tamped in some places? Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, also Venus, Everybody else is doing their thing. Saturn, all the outer planets. Saturn. We named Jupiter what Jupiter's doing. Thank goodness somebody's happy. We need somebody in there to be happy. Jupiter's very happy. Woo! We're saved. But then we've got Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and they are just there like showing up in a squad formation, being like, it's time for revolution, it's time for change, it's time for transformation, it's time for new technologies, new spiritual technologies. Like we're supposed to take a big next leap. I will be real honest with you. That's again where I get a little confounded. I'm like, but look at the condition of the masses. Like, how does this happen? I don't dwell on it. I'm just confessing it's something that flows through my cyclic thoughts, my like array of subjects that go through my way overheated brain. It's just, that's one of them. I'm just like, how does this all work, huh? I don't know if there's ever been an era like this. I don't think we've had this many people before and living like this. I don't know, So, but it's gonna happen. So hey, I might not know how it's gonna happen, but I'm damn certain that it is. So we kind of loop back. We have been getting a little reprieve from debilitated Venus. Okay, so hang with me here. All right. Virgo's just before Libra. Venus is hanging out in Virgo. Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury in Libra. And Mercury is Libra is in a Mercury ruled sign. Venus is in a Mercury ruled sign. And Mercury is in a Venus ruled sign. And so they make a little magical exchange. It's called a Parivartana Yoga. So they're going to make a little magical exchange, which means that debilitation that Venus is in gets canceled. But only while Mercury is in Libra. So we got a taste, kind of like a week at the start of these transits where Venus was not getting the upliftment. So like earlier in October, maybe even, because Venus went into Virgo October 9th. So, and Mercury was already in Libra. Okay, so we didn't really even get the biting bit. But just in case like any relationships in your lives or anything felt like a little shaky for some reason, like, just let this whole thing pass. The best advice. Remember, partnerships of all sorts, but partnerships, not just any kind of relationships. And if you're like, my mom, my dad, different house. 4th house, 9th house, different matter. Step parents, mother-in-law, father, no. 7th house, partnerships. That might not even be romance. That might be 5th house. Might not be boothing, 12th house, different. So I'm giving you this date, October 23rd. Mercury's going to leave and head into Scorpio. And until Venus leaves Virgo and comes into Libra, where obviously Venus is going to be really happy. Own sign, like, I'm back in the palace, Oh, this Virgo tried to make me overwork so much and be analytical and overthinking. That's why Venus doesn't like it there. Because Venus is like, I'm not trying to do all this over intellectualism. But as soon as she comes back into her own palace, she'll be uplifted, So that's why I'm saying, like, if any relationship things were just buzzing a little, I don't have that date for you, but you can look that up yourself. When does Venus move into sidereal Libra? You'll find it. It'll be next month sometime. I think it's like mid-month. Actually, I know this date. It's the 20th of November. I think it is. And also Sun will leave Libra then too, the 16th, 17th, like that. So that's a good time frame to name that, like, Venus, Sun, they're gonna stay debilitated now until, mid-November. For Venus, it's November 20th. So what could we be doing? Again, self-reflection. What could we be doing for ourselves in this next 3 weeks or so, almost 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks, that would be about this deep nourishment. That would be about like how we're setting up ourselves for winter, what we could be cultivating health-wise. Maybe we're going to start making some food changes towards winter meals. That's what I've been doing, really focused on. I'm very happy with our like food practice right now. It's like winning. How are you going to bolster sleep? Like, how are you going to get your best sleep ever this winter? In order to do that, you're going to have to take a look at how do you rev your engine? And start with foods, beverages, and the things that you like put in. Just start with that layer, and then you could go to like exercise. The timing of the exercise and the duration. Are you getting exactly what you need and you could stop there, or are you on some like, I'm gonna push more, I'm gonna work out twice, I'm gonna do more? Like when I'm in like workout fitness cycles, that's what I turn into every time. Next cycle, I'll try something different, but like so easy to go into that kind of response. So food and then your exercise, it's winter, adjust for winter. But if you're like, no, I need, I need this certain amount for my endorphin, oxytocin, serotonin, this is how winter lands for me. Like if you're going to use a light box, start now. Like, don't start in November or December. You start supplementing light now. It does. So, I like infrared therapies. I like infrared lights. I like infrared room. I like infrared sauna. And if I could marry my biomat, I would. If I could travel with my biomat, everything would be fine in this universe. But because my biomat, I think my sound settings, you're getting like full, I'm just gonna leave it on. I think you're getting full call to prayer in the background. Because it's like, are you playing music? I mean, the respectful thing would be to not talk over it, but it's okay. So, like this, your food, your exercise, sleep. If you feel resourced, if you want to go into aspects of how you rev your engine emotionally, mentally, it's great. But like, feel free to be resourced to do that kind of work. You don't have to do everything all at once. You might set your rest and your food rhythms, get some good repetition, and something may just be naturally arising. Like the thing to look at. I guess what I'm saying is I don't think you need to dig or mine. You could use the liminal practice and let the thing that's ripe for transformation show itself to you. That's way more intuitive and oracular. So that's the advice, y'all. Like, well, what should you be doing at this moon? I could have said all this in the beginning, right? But that's the thing. This is the healing and transformative and spiritual thing that's available for us right now. In terms of the goddesses, the moon festivals and things like this, South Asian calendar, tonight, the Amavasya. It's exact at, I'm gonna get a time for you. It's exact at 5:24 a.m. Pacific time, Central Time, 7:24 a.m. So we're in the Tithi leading up to the exact moon that'll be in the early morning for you all. For me, it's later in the day. And tonight is Diwali in the South Asian calendar. The darkest Tithi before the darkest moon. And 1 million candles, 1 million, please, probably billions, all added up. Candles, diyas, lights. It is a night of nights in India. A little bit wild. They also do a lot of firecrackers. It's a little out of control, to be honest with you. If you have like a sensory sensitive thing, it's not your jam. And the darkness, the dark entities be dispelled by the sound of the crackers, and the darkness within the inner lamp is lit. Earlier today in the homes was the Lakshmi Puja. Should be cleansed in the home, reorganized, everything put neatly, and then Ma Lakshmi is worshipped. And we come into the Diwali night. There's some other festivals on either side. And then tomorrow night, the Amavasya, the first day of the new moon cycle, is Kali Puja. And where we're going now is really the domain of the wrathful mothers, the Dashamavidyas. This time up to the winter solstice time is their domain. So it's a time, the Dashamavidyas as a set of goddesses inspire renunciation. They're not like benevolent, I shouldn't say they're not benevolent, but they're not like the benefic pop goddess who only gives good. Every single one of these mothers is a different essence of transformation. And renunciation is a necessary step. Once you finally identify the habit, let's say we were way back at like Annamaya Kosha there, physical body, food, exercise, sleep habits, revving the engine. I want to make sure I finish that thought. Like, if we want to anchor sleep, we can't have practices during the day where we're constantly revving. Slamming the caffeine, slamming the sugar, cranking it up, like super depleting. To cultivate really good sleep, we do need to have restrainment during the day and not unnecessarily rev the engine. If you're responding to something that needs your immediacy, then that's what that response is there for. I don't know what this. So, if I can find my way back to whatever I was going on about. The kind of mental, emotional, intellectual healing that we can do at this time, the habit change, like I'm gonna make a different habit with my sleep, I'm gonna make a different habit with my exercise. It will require you to identify the thing, the habit, the object, the way of thinking, the way of responding or reacting. You'll have to renounce it. You have to be like, fuck, I'm giving this up. This is it. Nah, like no more. So renunciation isn't like, now I gotta go live this wildly austere life and I should deny myself any pleasures or desires. I didn't say any of that. But I think when people hear renunciation, they think very monkish thoughts. No, renunciation is an incredible and beautiful tool for initiating change and transformation. That's what renunciation is, but it's very necessary. Like, it won't happen without it. So this is our season of spiritual renunciation. Again, not deprivation, not withholding, just renunciation. pronunciation. Which does lead us to a final layer that we should look at, which is the nakshatra, because the nakshatra is Chaitra, and Chaitra is ruled by Vishwakarma, the like cosmic architect, designer. And so one of the things we get empowered with and into with this nakshatra activation is redesigning. Like we're literally like the celestial architect is like with us. So all the themes I named, and the habits and this and that, what do you want to redesign? It's a perfection moon for exactly this. Anything else you're trying to do with this moon? Yeah, no, good luck. It's a dark moon. It's a difficult moon. You gotta go in on the things now. So that's some solid advice today, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna take a little scan because I usually love to read from Bepin Bihari's Myths and Symbols of Vedic Astrology, a little bit about the nakshatra. But I'm gonna skim a little today. But what do we look at? We look at Tvashtar is another name for Vishwakarma. We look at where it is, who rules that, the deity, and the symbol of that. So Chaitra itself means bright or transparent. Also refers to a fairy as well as a serpent. Oh. Superficially, the pearl, as the asterism symbol, conveys a pleasant and alluring appearance, but this should not beguile the student. It has the potential of a serpent. It contains wisdom and danger simultaneously. It's totally the dream cave. In fact, Chaitra is one of the most mystical asterisms. The Sanskrit word mukta, meaning a pearl, is derived from the same root as the words mukti and moksha, both meaning liberation. No one has ever suggested that the liberation process for the human soul is a pleasant experience. Yogis resort to difficult practices and severe austerities before they hope to get any imitation of the final realization. During the process of unfoldment of one's real nature and the dawn of the vision of truth, the aspirant must discipline themselves and forego the comforts of life, I guess. Even those who do not undertake this task voluntarily but find themselves in the path of spirituality have to pass through severe ordeals. The process of releasing the soul from the thraldom of matter is a hard one. Thraldom. I'm going to remember that word. I want to throw that in somewhere. What a vocabulary word. On this path, the individual's wings are clipped and their activities fettered. They feel tremendously frustrated. They must be completely broken before they can become free. Their feet have to be washed in the blood of their heart before it can really move forward. I don't know what that means, but it sounded deep and heavy. Their feet have to be washed in the blood of their heart before they can really move forward. In this regard, we should note that Virgo represents the 6th house of the cosmic man. Kalapurusha, the house of disease and opposition, which is where Libra, Venus is right now. That's why, like, we're getting the cancellation, but after the cancellation stops, we're gonna really kind of get the like 6th house influence. So just be aware of debts, by the way. Like, don't do any big debts right now. Wait for Venus to move. Don't take on any big loans or do any big debt kind of things. As one of the astrologers I watch, like, this isn't financial advice. This is not financial advice. Then what is it? Advice on finances? I jest. Anywho. Okay, so the sixth house. This house represents the ordeals of the seeker prior to their being ordained in the silken dress of initiation or direct insight into truth. It is the stage of trial and tribulation which must precede the activation of the soul's faculties. When the inner life force begins to break the outer material crust, there is trouble and pain. All truths. I gave you a much sunnier message. The individual feels like they're being torn apart, but this act of churning of the ocean is the inevitable prelude to the discovery of inner reality. The real image hidden in the uncut stone must be carved out by the sculptor. When the stone chips are cut, they must cause sorrow. The celestial architect has to ultimately produce the archetype destined for the individual and for each entity of the universe. Devashtar must cut off the unwanted pieces of the stone which are not essential for the true image to come forth. The word Chaitra also means an image or reflection. Under the impulse of this asterism, the archetype latent within forces the outer, the external, to dissolve so that the real image can be perceived. We were getting at that a bit. The story of the origin of the pearl, whether true or false, is similar to the process of unfoldment of inner consciousness. It is said that raindrops under the influence of the asterism Swati fall on oyster shells to form pearls within them. To get the pearls, the hard outer shells of the oysters have to be broken. In life, impulses from above, from the supramental level or the divine itself, flash on the consciousness of the individual and begin the churning operation. They arouse the urge to realize the true self. The momentary flash becomes the guiding star to drive the aspirant to traverse the difficult path. That's the light within that you have to light at Diwali. Oh my gosh, this is a really long one. He's really spirited in this chapter on Chaitra. The asterism Chaitra represents the sudden flash of inspiration, the urge to realize one's true image. For it, the individual undergoes different kinds of suffering. Before the pearl is obtained and polished, the oyster, the outer physical sheath, has to be dissolved and the shell discarded. All these sufferings are for a cause, the realization of the inner self, the real person, which resembles the pure shining pearl laying hidden within the reeking hard shell of the body and ego. I'm skipping over a little bit of lore. He's kind of hammering the point. A little bit technical. Okay, this is interesting. Chaitra brings a great upsurge to build and to reach new levels of achievement. For this reason, one can find wonder workers, efficient leaders born under this star. But those who are not able to imbibe the full radiation of this asterism may become smug, self-content, stagnant, self-indulgent types. This is like if you have a planet in Chaitra, then these are some of the personality traits it can, depends on the planet, right? Okay, last sentence here. Whatever the level of spiritual development, the individual under this asterism must glimpse the vision of perfection, struggle in some way to attain the ideal, and concretize the vision, and come a little closer to the final goal of their destiny, depending upon their capacity to imbibe the energy of the asterism and the disposition of other planets. The outcome of the struggle begun under this star can be foreseen. So it is a serious place, but that doesn't mean you can't have a little fun along the way with that. So if you're watching this before the new moon has begun, Then gather up your dreams tonight, go to bed early, get a good like deepening in, and let the dreams talk to you, let the ancestors talk to you. We're still in the ancestor portal. The ancestors are really close by, they're here with us. And they want to connect, they want to be a part of the spiritual journey. We're all a part of each other's cosmology, so like this. Don't forget about the ancestor connection at this time that is so alive, that peaks at Samhain on the 31st of October, where the veil is the thinnest between the worlds. The ancestors come and have a visit. And remember the good times and things like this. Like this, they get a little personal visit time. So that is the giant download there. I'm not really talking about too much on the collective level at this time, because this is just such a beautiful moon to get into the personal. Just know that your spiritual cultivation is an act of rebellion, and making yourself fortified for the long vision, the long frame timetable of change and transformation at the collective level. That is the best idea right now. And that's where you're supported. That's where you're super juiced. That's where all the energy is pointing you towards. That is where you will find success. Yeah, where the things will galvanize. Absolutely. So this is my offering at this dark moon, and to say a prayer for, all of our inner lights to alight in the season of darkness, for us to remember, for us to heal together, and also celebrate. That's my prayer for all of us at this moon. So thanks for listening to this epic download.